Yo, I told y'all, man. I told you. I told you y'all are intellectually lazy. I told you about FoamStars that it's more than a game that is derivative of Splatoon. I told y'all gaming journalists are lazy, intellectually lazy. Y'all over here making jokes about the game, about FoamStars, cause it looks like Splatoon. It's a Splatoon clone, right? Here's the thing about Nintendo fans, which I don't know. To them, everything is a Nintendo clone. You go on a almost any press conference, any game conference, especially from the competing consoles, you see people in there talking about, oh, this is a Zelda clone, or this is a Mario Odyssey clone, or this is a Yoshi clone, or this is a Kirby clone. Everything is a damn clone to them. Excuse my language. They're one of the most toxic uh fan bases in gaming, because they will completely dismiss a game if it has any close elements to a Nintendo game. And to them, they'll find a close element to a Nintendo game because that qualifies them. That solidifies, that adds merit to their fandom for Nintendo, right? And it goes all the way up to the journalists. The other day, I saw let me see, here it is right here. I saw a IGN journalist called X Defiant Ubisoft's Smash Bros with guns. Are you serious? A first person shooter, military first person shooter, by the way. Not even like a hero shooter, a military first person shooter, not cartoony, not anything like that, because it has crossover characters. Even if you go that deep, I'm not going to say, even if you go you look that deep to find similarities between a Nintendo game and another company's game. Was Smash Bros the first crossover game? No one's ever heard of X-Men versus Street Fighter? Say, what was it called? Sega All Stars? There were crossover games and popular ones before Smash Bros. So I don't understand why because it's a crossover, you compare it to Smash Bros. Let's take a look. Does this look like Smash Bros to you? Does this look like Smash Bros for you? Right? There, he just knocked him off the stage. Oh, he's jumping back on the stage now, guys. Don't Sonic just did a spin dash, right? And here's the special ball. Where do you see Smash Bros at? Intellectually lazy. Let's get to the topic of the video though, because this just it just proves everything I've been saying about gaming journalists, and they're like a marketing team for Nintendo. Nintendo can do no wrong in their eyes. But let's get to the topic of the video. I told y'all this game. I told y'all FoamStars was more than its similarities to Splatoon. And the funny thing is, these game journalists, they don't care when Nintendo copies anybody else. Mario Maker has nothing original outside of what Little Big Planet designed. Nothing. There's nothing original in that game. Everything Mario Maker does, Little Big Planet already did. They don't have no problem with that. They don't mention it in the reviews. Anytime a PlayStation game does something similar to a Nintendo game, they always mention in the reviews. Two Mario Maker games, not one mention of Little Big Planet in those reviews. And many different um, journalist websites and YouTube channels, multiple of them, especially IGN. Two Mario Maker games, not one mention of Little Big Planet though. Right? Let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. So, so the reviews are out, the previews are out, the impressions are out, and I said in the past video that the completionist played this game. He completed Splatoon 1 and 2. He's on 3 right now. And as the with the calling card of the completionist, he plays everything you can play from that game. So he's got a extensive knowledge on Splatoon 1 and 2. He says it's not just derivative. There are similarities, of course, but it has its own identity, right? Um, and it's a very good game. He really likes it, right? That was the first person that came out and said this is a good game. Now a bunch of journalists are coming out. I just brought up 2 articles, but there are a bunch of journalists that came out and said they love this game. Some journalists said it's their game of the show. Like when they went to Summer Games Fest, it was the game they just kept playing. You know what I'm saying? So here's let's be fair a little bit, right? So the first article I'm gonna bring up is Digital Trends. Uh, they're saying FoamStars finds a happy middle ground between Splatoon and Overwatch. Okay, so he says, while I've never been too great at competitive shooters, something about Splatoon clicks with me. Perhaps it's just that there are so many ways to contribute to a team, which means that I can become my team's MVP by playing the objective rather than winning firefight. Let's skip through it a little bit. So he wished developers found inspiration from the series in creative ways, so he can flex his skills as a shooter player. So, like I said, it took close to a decade, but FoamStars uh, is a direct riff from on the Splatoon formula, right? So here we go. FoamStars isn't just a copycat. Its matches are quite different from Splatoon's, finding more of a middle ground between that series and a traditional shooter. Okay? He says, I played 4 matches of FoamStars at this year's Summer Games Fest, which gave me a chance to play around with a few characters and their in-game changing abilities. Um, Says there's not enough time to grasp its intricacies. Oh, it's a chaotically fun shooter, doing a lot. Here we go. Proving to be a chaotically fun shooter that's doing a lot to separate itself from Nintendo's beloved series. Okay? So you played a few rounds. The main mode was Star Rush. Okay, let's get into some details. It's a 4 versus 4 family friendly deathmatch mode. The leading is called chilling here, where players need to work together to defeat the opposing player's team's star player. The basics of battle carry some obvious similarities to Splatoon. Players have different guns that can soak up the terrain and foam, right? Players can surf over their team's foam color, but stepping onto the other team's foam will slow them down. Right. Let's get this. Let's get this. That's actually where most of the obvious Splatoon influence ends. For instance, players don't simply defeat enemies by shooting at them. Instead, they need to cover them with enough foam until they're trapped in a big ball and then surf into them to pop it. Teammates can save each other. Let's get this, right? Teammates can save each other from defeat by popping the balls themselves. It's a totally different approach to combat that forces players to aggressively follow up on their opponents to secure the KO, right? So it's also a character shooter, rather than focused on loadout, right? So it's pulled from the Overwatch formula. So he says he wielded the shotguns, some similar guns. One character can shoot out an exploding shuriken, while another can perform a side flip and launch a horizontal foam blast during it. So we have we have attacks, we have specials that aren't seen in Splatoon, right? Um, so teams are set loose on a flat map where they can the more shape the more they fill it with foam. I see players on the other team building large mounds of foam and standing atop them to snipe afar off. When do you do that in Splatoon? When do you pile up ink to form your own sniper perch? Right? Where do you find that? When do you do that? Now, of course, there's similarities to other games with that, but that's not just Splatoon. And it's not just to say it's derivative of anything of everything. We have a game that's everybody's praising right now to be game of the year, game of the generation, which is a mismatch of a bunch of different games. It's called Starfield, right? There's plenty of Nintendo games where it's just a mismatch of different games. All of a sudden, because it's a Sony exclusive, now you have to be wholly original, right? So it's not quite a Fortnite level of building, but it seems like there's a fair bit of strategic potential like that. Adding some creativity to how players build up the map. Um, so it shows that teamwork needs to be the key. Going off on your own, going off solo has some big consequences, right? And that might go against the casual Splatoon player. Okay, so let's get uh another journalist. This is from Game Reactor, right? FoamStars impressions, a sudsy surprise. We've been hands on with Square Enix's third person shooter as part of the Summer Games Fest. Games Fest Play Days events. Here we go. Here goes an example of what I was talking about. I won't lie. I haven't been the kindest person to FaomStars upon seeing the game's reveal trailer, which admittedly was a CGI trailer at the recent disappointing PlayStation showcase. So it first of all, it wasn't, and I'm not even mad at dude. I'm not saying he's giving an excuse right here, but it sounds like an excuse. It wasn't just a CGI trailer. There was gameplay, a lot of gameplay. So I was left very skeptical about this title. It seemed to be a rather unapologetic clone of Splatoon. Remember when game journalists websites used to do um like uh those studies of games. I forgot what it was called, like Rewind Theater. IGN used to do. They would see a game and they would rewind, play it slow, see all the intricacies of the game. That's why that was so good, because you didn't just see the overview of the game of a game trailer one time and just judge it based on that. You would see the intricacies, see the differences, see the uniqueness, right? They're not doing that anymore. And instead of holding, frame and saying, wait, before I know what this game is, I'm a professional, let me not be like the fanboys, right, who want to, you know war and cheer for their team. Let me stop doing that and let me just see what this is about before I judge it. Not mad at this dude. It's very easy to do that. All right, so it seemed like a rather unapologetic clone of Splatoon, a game that even looked to embrace live service elements, making it less of an enticing premise. And the hate for live service, I don't get it. Um, there's not much difference when it comes to consequences of a live service and a regular multiplayer game. Multiplayer games used to get shut down all the time. A live service game could get shut down at any time, or it could be successful, right? So, however, after being able to play FoamStars as part of the Summer Games Fest Play Days event, my opinion on the game has taken a rather sharp change in direction. But before I get into why I'm actually quite excited for FoamStars, let me reiterate that the live service elements that this game will seemingly feature is still very much a concern. He explains. So he at least explains his concerns for live service, which makes sense. Makes a little some sense. I get it. Some people are just like it's a cliche, it's a key word, it's a trigger word. Live service. I don't like it because live service. You ask them why, it's just it's live service, bro. They no explanation. So concern. Foam Stars comes across as one of those games that if it doesn't become a sensation 6 months after launch, it will be sunset soon after. That's his concern with live service. I get it. And while I did enjoy what I saw in Los Angeles, this is still a concern about the game. However, let's not dwell on the future just yet, as Foam Stars doesn't have a release window, never mind a release date just yet. So let's talk about the core gameplay and how that works. I hope it comes out this year. I really do. I will buy a PlayStation 5 just to play this. Even if it's on PC, I'll buy a PlayStation 5. That's my deal with Sony. You start making multiplayer games, right? You start making games for your online service. I will play multiplayer games for you for your console. I will buy it for your console. The core concept of Foam Stars is based around team multiplayer action, two rosters of four players work together to battle and defeat the opposing team in a plethora of events and game modes. I say modes, quote unquote, with a nod to the future in mind. As a preview session I attended did not have multiple game modes on offer, and rather saw press and creators slugging it out in one single player mode, Smash the Star. I guess that makes it copy of Smash Bros. The game, because it's called Smash the Stars, so that's it. Look, they even call it Smash Bros. So the game mode is very simple in effect, as all it really is a team death match where teams need to take down as many opposing players as possible to see one of their team members dubbed the star. Once the player is dubbed with this title, they become more resistant and so I like that. That's Juggernaut. That's kind of like Juggernaut. But instead of just becoming the Juggernaut, and I'm not sure, I haven't played every Juggernaut game out that ever existed, every game that had Juggernaut a mode. But I was actually thinking about this, that if I created a game, I would do something like this. So not only do you become more powerful and resistant to attack, you also become highlighted in the game map. You know what I'm saying? So now everybody has to chase you down. So I like that. They become more resistant and harder to defeat, but are clearly marked as the win condition demands that the opposing team knocks out the opposite star individual, or other team protects theirs and keeps them alive. See, this is cool. This is cool. I can see why people had fun with this. You know what I'm saying? Before the opposing star player is knocked out instead. The catch, however, is that in similar vein to Splatoon, FoamStars isn't just a shooter. It's also a game where you need to keep tabs on the environment and how your team controls and dominates. Ah, man. While I can't comment on the other game modes just yet, for Smash the Star, teams need to watch and make sure they are painting on the battleground with their respective colors. So, see, this is cool. So, you can trap the juggernaut, which what really separates it is you can almost trap the juggernaut like a game of chess. You know what I mean? Like you surround um you kind of corner him. Like you ever painted yourself into a corner, pun intended. You paint yourself into a corner. I know it's ink, but you paint yourself into a corner, and you paint the star into a corner, and his uh mode of escape is stifled because now you have your ink all around and he's slower, and you can surf up to him and get him. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, this is fun, bro. Come on, bro. This is fun. Listen, man. Nintendo created a great concept, but everybody's created great concepts. Everybody's taken from everybody. Let's stop the nonsense. We're making 1,000 videos about how this is a Splatoon clone. Every chance you get, bro. And the thing is, there's a bunch of games that that play like Splatoon, that are Splatoon like. Some are just actual carbon copies, and y'all don't complain about them like that. It's when it's a Sony exclusive, because y'all console warring. People pretend like Nintendo fans don't console war. Y'all are the worst because you're sniggy with it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, that was what we get. I know the article is much longer. I'm going to, let that be the end of what I was saying about Foam Stars and how it's being dismissed. Uh, the game journalists liked it. They really broke it down. A lot of the things I said when I broke down Foam Stars is coming true. You know what I mean? And I might do a further breakdown in the future. So until next time, take these companies to task, ask for better, never settle for trash. It's your man's boycott, and I'm out.